Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of the Don't Revive Your Friends podcast. My name is Sean, and alongside with me, who do I have today?
We got Luke.
Luke.
Also known as Hangtime.
Hangtime, co-host for Don't Revive Your Friends podcast. And this is the first one. We're just going to be chatting up about video games, nerd culture, geek culture, all that fun stuff. Stuff we I guess you could say we know about. Right? There's a lot that we don't know about, so we won't dive into things. I think that you and I personally have no idea what the hell we'd be talking about. Is that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think fashion designer is one of those topics that I know a lot about, but no, I think I agree 100%. It's some of these games and in the direct and just anything in general that we talk about. We don't have the time to play everything. Some of it we're going to have to kind of skim through, but it's still interesting to kind of hear about all this these new drops and everything.
Right, yeah, and that's what we're doing here today with the Nintendo Direct, which, did come out a while ago, but, there's a few key things that you hear about and nothing else. And there's a reason for that, and we're going to get into that. And you're more the Nintendo resident than I am, but growing up, I played a lot of Nintendo, so I think the best thing that we can do right now is jump into every game that was talked about in the Direct and kind of give our thoughts on it.
Sounds like a plan.
Perfect. So the first thing that we have on the list was Pikmin 4. Here's the question. Have you played a Pikmin game?
I've played Pikmin 1 and the multiplayer of 2, but I have not played 3. I don't know. There may have been another Pikmin game at some point that I'm not aware of, but just the first one.
Okay, and I've never played a Pikmin game.
They're
you
fun.
Said there was multiplayer, and I did not know that at all. They're
a lot of fun. My biggest problem, though, there's a timer. Well, at least in the first game, there's you have a certain amount of days to get off the planet, and I don't like timers. It gives me really bad anxiety, so I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
So what are you trying to save these creatures, or when my wife explained it to me, and she said that it is the saddest game of all time. Because you basically send a bunch of little creatures to their deaths. And that actually kind of got me interested in it, weirdly, but I've never tried it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the gist of it. You're not trying to get the creatures off the planet. You're trying to return home. So you're playing as, again, I haven't played 2 or 3 fully, but in 1 you're playing as Olimar, and you land on Earth, and you're trying to get back home. And you find these little creatures and basically can control them and attack other creatures and items and things like that.
Okay, so you're using these guys for your benefit.
Yeah, basically.
That makes sense. Well, regardless, Pikmin 4, it looked cool. Again, I know nothing about it. Graphically, it looks like a Nintendo game, obviously, which we've seen a lot through this Direct that everything announced that I had no idea looks like a Nintendo game. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I got to play through the whole series first. When did I don't even remember where the first one came out. Was that GameCube?
That was GameCube, yeah.
Holy moly. Wow. Pikmin 4.
I think with Pikmin 4, it looks like a lot of fun, but I don't know if I'm ever going to find the time to actually play it or, actually go and buy it, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, that's right. It just might not be my cup of tea. Mm-hmm. It looks cool, but I doubt I'll ever play it. Not to say, if you like Pikmin out there, good for you. That's pretty cool. You're sadistic, apparently. So. Next, we had Xenoblade 3 DLC. Yeah. Okay. Now, do you think DLC should be in a Direct?
I think from what I understand, the Xenoblade DLCs are huge. It's an extra 20 plus hours of content a lot of times. So I think in this case it makes sense. Normally I'd say no, but with Xenoblade, there's so much content in these DLCs. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least from the last one, I think it kind of makes sense. And those who are Xenoblade fans, I'm sure are going crazy right now.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. I have no idea. Again, Xenoblade I've never played. It's an RPG on my list. But I feel weird when we're expected to wait for a Direct and you get DLC. DLC's coming out, right? You would know. I think everybody who buys a game expects DLC to be coming out. So I think it's sort of weird to put into a Direct. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I think Xenoblade's also really big in Japan, so that's probably why they included it.
That makes sense.
My only other notes I have about Xenoblade really quickly was Holy VTuber. That's how I felt about a lot of the character designs. Again, looks really cool, but I know that these games take a long time to play. and I'm already playing through a couple long RPGs like Persona 5 Royal, and I don't know when I'm gonna find the time to play Xenoblade or any of the Xenoblades if I do pick up any of them.
Well, that brings me to something here too. Just real briefly, do you think games are too long?
Well, I mean, yes and no. Yes, if you have a full time job. No, if you don't. But it is nice to get your money's worth, and the game is like 100 hours. But for me personally, yeah, I kind of like playing like short games now. But a slow burn's not bad every once in a while.
Yeah, I think my attention span is just diminishing very, very rapidly. And one example of that was I waited so long for Red Dead Redemption 2 to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time they announced it, like the main campaign itself is like 65 hours. And I went, oh, like that's daunting. And then I was like streaming. So I had to figure out how I can complete this game and do like side missions. It was over 100 hours for that game. And if you do 100 hours of something, you're either going to really love it or you're going to find it very stale by the end. You know what I mean? And
100%.
I'll be honest, with Red Dead, near the end of it, I was kind of burnt out. I was like, will this ever end? Please, please end. Fantastic game, one of my favorites. Probably in my top 10. But, gosh, I just wanted it to end. The original Red Dead was like 30 hours. That's perfect for me.
Well, I mean, even Persona 5, like I recently played through Persona 5, and like by like hour 80, I'm just like, is this ever gonna freaking end? Like I was getting burned out. So it's cool to have such a long game, but yeah, my attention span can't handle it sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's like it brings on a new level of anxiety that you don't want when you're playing a game. Like when you start it and somebody goes, "That's a 100-hour game," you're like, "Shit!" Like when am I gonna finish this? Even though you would normally play the game like you would, like there's a lot of games I could say I've played, Overwatch, way more than 100 hours in the last few months, right?
Right.
But it's that dedication. Like, you're committing to it, and it kind of makes it more daunting than it should be. Like, man, I'm going to play this for 100 hours? That's a lot.
Well, Sean, how many hours a day do you have to play video games?
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing, right? And it becomes like you have to be dedicated, and that's what makes it daunting, and that's why I don't finish a lot of these games.
Right.
Because then, like,
especially
100
RPGs.
hours, I'll play a half an hour of Overwatch or Fortnite real quick. I don't know.
Yeah, dedicating 100 plus hours to an RPG like Xenoblade is like terrifying to me. I mean, it sounds awesome. Like again, I heard the story's really cool and it really like picks up. But yeah, Jesus, that's a long time.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever finish Persona 5. Ever. I'll play it like I play a few hours every few months, so it's going to take me about 6, maybe 7 years from now to finish, probably.
We'll touch base in 7 years on Persona 5 and your thoughts on it.
Yeah, please.
Oh, you're back.
The next game we got here, Samba de Amigo.
My notes were sure.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
It was cool. What, it came out in the Dreamcast?
I think
a long time ago.
Not entirely. I said I think, and I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it was in the Dreamcast. He was in Sonic Racing All Stars, which was cool. I guess.
So was Ryu.
Yeah,
Ryo, excuse me, from Shenmue.
Yep. And cool, funky, Nintendo / Sega mix there, but not. Again, it's just not interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then I mentioned like shorter games, and this is like a party game or whatever it was, and it's probably 10 hours of content or something. But I whine about 100 hours, and then they're like, here's this 10-hour game, and I'm like, nah.
Right.
I don't
Make up
want
your
it.
mind, man.
So yeah, nothing really to say there.
Yeah.
Next game, one of the most highly anticipated games of all time, got announced in this Nintendo Direct. You know which one I'm thinking of?
Oh, we already know. Fashion designer.
Yeah, Fashion Dreamer.
Fashion Dreamer, excuse me.
Fashion Dreamer. You got to get this right. People will riot. I don't know. I guess it's aimed for kids, right? But I don't know the type of game it really was. Like at first, it looked like a social, like a hub game. When they showed the, they're like, here, design your character, and then like walk around and do this. I have no idea what the hell this game is.
Well,
I don't
same.
know if.
Yeah. I have no idea, and I think this is kind of one of those games where it's like, why would they show this here? Like, I think there is an audience for it for sure, but it's kind of weird to have this at a direct. I don't know.
Yeah, and even though it was like a minute and a half, like announcement, I'm very unsure of first of all what the game is. Like they showed you picking clothes and then walking around taking pictures, but like, what do you do? Is it an RPG? Like, is it based off like clothes you design? I have no clue, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't care to know. Sorry,
Surprised.
Fashion Dreamer fans.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure they're very disappointed listening to this, but yeah, I mean, again, it's not for me. I think it's the biggest thing. It's just this game is not aimed towards, dorks like us. So
Yeah, not to say you can't have it in the direct. It's just I think the first 30 minutes out of this direct in particular, out of the 44 minutes it was, actually I'll just say 30 minutes in general. There's a lot that I was just like, what are we waiting for? What reveal are we waiting for? You know, that was my thought process throughout the whole thing. Like, come on. All right, speed it up here.
and that's usually how a lot of the directs go. There's a lot of just announcements that I personally don't care for, but I know that there are people out there who do. But
Yeah.
for me personally, it's just like, wow, like when are we going to see something that like I'm interested in, which we'll get to.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah. And this begs the question here, do you think it would be beneficial to have it as like a pre-recorded form? Like, hey, we're gonna drop the direct next week on YouTube, all in its entirety, so you can watch it or not watch it. You know, you can skim through it at your leisure. Like, I don't want to sit here and watch, Samba de Amigo, Fashion Dreamer. We had some interesting ones here in the next few games that we'll get to. But do you think that would be more beneficial that they just drop it so we can all watch it?
Let me ask you this: would we be talking about it if they rolled it out that way?
Yeah, probably, because
Really?
you still have everything there, right? So if they take this 44-minute video and they just upload it, but they let you know like a week in advance or whatever, hey, next week's the direct, and they drop it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can watch it all. I think a lot of people would skip a lot of it, which is fine. But
I think for us, it would be cool just so we could skip past like the fashion designer type games. But at the same time, too, like I do still like seeing all these games released because it is interesting to see like all the different types of games that are coming out on the Switch.
Yeah,
Which I can kind of geek out on.
I was just reading the comments as this was live.
Mid.
Yeah, mid. There's so many people too that are just fucking. They hate everything. You know what I mean? And it's gonna sound like that with us going through a lot of these games, but like everybody's just like screaming at Nintendo, like throwing up the Z's, like they're sleeping, like
F's,
boring.
yeah.
Get to the shit, and
Right.
it's. I don't know. I just wonder if I just want to click on it, but then I guess I could just not watch it at all when it's live and then skip it.
Or just pull out your cell phone and start going on TikTok during the boring games.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, where there's that attention span again. So, I guess we'll move along here. Dead Cells.
I mean, that looked really cool.
Yeah,
I haven't played Dead Cells yet. That's one of those games where I need to play through. But the next Metroidvania game that I still want to play is Hollow Knight.
Yeah,
So I think
Hollow
that's
Knight's
kind of
really
going to take a back seat before Hollow Knight. But I love the collab they're doing with Castlevania. That's so neat to see.
I think that's awesome. Now, to throw this out there, I did like Dead Cells more than I liked Hollow Knight, and I loved Hollow Knight. They're both really, really good games, but Dead Cells was like a faster pace, which was pretty cool. I got frustrated a lot with Hollow Knight. That's probably why I'm picking Dead Cells.
Did you beat either
More.
of them?
Yeah. Both, actually. But, yeah, I think Dead Cells has an edge for me just because it's a little bit faster
Yeah.
paced. And I don't really like Metroidvania like titles too much because I think they're all relatively the same. So in terms of Hollow Knight, it like kind of actually stuck to that formula. Hey, you go into a room, there's a big baddie that you can't beat because you don't have the power yet. So you got to go back, and then move forward. It's
The other problem, sorry to cut you off. The other problem too is I'm just bad at those types of games. So it's like, again, it kind of comes down to spending my time wisely with the limited amount of time I do have to play games. It's like, do I want to spend an hour being frustrated at a game I might not be able to beat? So
Yeah,
I don't know.
and Hollow Knight, you'll be very frustrated. I'll just throw that out there. It's,
Yeah.
it's very frustrating at times. Um, then we're gonna get into 2 games here, which. Okay, so when we talk about why was this put in here, Tron.
Yeah, my notes were sure. I don't know.
Mine
Like,
was
is there a
literally
Tron movie
nah.
coming out? I'm so confused.
Yeah, there's a Tron 2 being filmed, I think. Another Tron movie is coming out. But this was a point and click, right? Like you literally click on things to.
I think, yeah, that's what it looked like. Kind of like a Walking Dead type game with like story based, like, you know, your decisions affect how the game's played out. I think.
Oh, like Tales of the Borderlands and Walking Dead.
I could be
Yeah.
wrong on that. That's kind of what I got from that, but I think it's mostly a point and click. I mean, it looked pretty good, like art style wise, but I just don't really know like who it's for. But I guess for Tron fans out there, that's cool.
Are there Tron fans out there still?
I
There
maybe.
can't be. There can't be. Ghost Trick Phantom Detective.
Again, it looked super neat, like the art style, but not for me. I just don't really enjoy point and clicks, personally.
They tried to make this. What I noticed in the direct, they tried to make it like kind of a bigger deal. Like everybody knew what Ghost Trick was. They're like, he's back or something like that. I'm like, who? What is
I think this was on 3DS. I'm not really sure.
This is not Mario. Why are you trying to make it seem like everybody knows who this guy is? And it was like one of those, whoops, you messed up, try it again type deals, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It seemed like a neat concept, but again, I'm probably not going to play it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I will never touch it. Sorry, Capcom, but it's. And first of all, it's a puzzle game, which I'm terrible at.
Oh, I'm
you know,
stupid.
it's a puzzle point and click. Yeah, I don't know how to do basic problem solving. Is not my forte. So, yeah, gonna skip that one.
Right. Fair enough.
Then we had one. Let me know if you were interested in this. I was interested in Deca Police.
Oh, hell yeah. That looks
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. So it took about 10 minutes to get to the first game where I was like, yes, okay, I'll do this. And Deca Police was like it's an RPG.
It's like a detective JRPG or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned this to me before, but kind of like reminded you of Ni no Kuni, right?
Yeah, I believe it's level
A little
5, which makes sense.
Right.
But yeah, it did remind me of Ni no Kuni, but a detective JRPG, Ni no Kuni, and Neo Tokyo.
Yeah. And with RPGs, I always do get nervous. Like, first of all, we mentioned time investment, right? So if you're going to put like 60 hours into a game, I hope to God there's character development. I hope the story is good. In most RPGs now, you don't get all of that. It's one or the other, right? You're either going to have good characters and a kind of okay story, or a great story and no character development. So
Yeah, unless you're playing like at a really, really good game like Persona or something.
yeah,
That's
that is
pretty true. And that was kind of my biggest thing. Is like, it looks so cool, but I hope the story is like interesting enough to keep me hooked on it. But I do like the setting that it's in. It seems like it's kind of like a futuristic Tokyo, but also like a cat world, which I was kind of confused about.
yeah. I'm
so
excited
that
about
was-
the cat.
That was interesting. I didn't expect the cat transformation, so I don't know how that works. If you're, I don't know. Also the eyebrows too. Those are some huge freaking eyebrows.
I always like dream of having eyebrows like something like that, and then I realized that if those were put on a human face, it would be terrifying.
It really would be.
But yeah, this the cat thing was pretty cool. They didn't really explain anything. They're just like, guess what? You're also a cat. It's like, oh, all right, sure.
Yeah, I think they're gonna mention probably more about the game a little later. I didn't catch the release date on that, but definitely want to hear more about it.
Yeah, I think it looked pretty cool, actually. So, Deca Police is on my radar, which is rare for me in these directs to actually see a game, and I'm like, hell yeah, I want to play that.
Yeah,
So,
it was unexpected too, which is awesome.
so that's something that yeah, like you said, it's unexpected and makes me happy. So I guess there is somewhat of a like, oh yeah, when I watched that caught my eye, like factor in watching it live, I guess. Next one, Bayonetta Origins. The art looks cool.
That's what I wrote too. It's like really, really, really like the art style. And it's cool to see that Bayonetta's like trying something different. I love Bayonetta 1 and 2. I still need to play 3, but the art style is just so neat. It kind of reminds me of like the Okami DS port, Okami Den, I think is what it's called. Kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, that kind of like graphical, like ancient,
like, almost like painted
painting. Yeah, exactly. Now, one thing I will say, again, this is probably a game that I won't play, but she's supposed to be like a kid in this one, right?
Yes, correct.
Like that's her origin story, and then they're like, she doesn't fight, and I was like, oh.
That was my other concern too. Like, is it a puzzle game? But like, it looks like you like control some of like different beasts and things. So I think there is combat, but as Bayonetta, you're not the one actually fighting. At least from what I could gather from the trailer.
And this reminds me of like what they're doing with like League of Legends and stuff like that. Like they're giving their characters like their own games and like origin stories and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. But
I might pick this up, and it looks like it's not going to be like a full price game either, which is nice.
Yeah, it'll probably be one of those like $30 games, which is cool. I will gladly watch somebody play this.
Yeah, and I feel like it's going to be a shorter game too. I can't imagine it being more than like 10 hours.
Right. So this will probably be one before bed. I load up a playthrough of, and I watch it for a few nights until it's done.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with the game. It's just, I don't spend a lot of time on my Switch, so I'm very picky on the games that I'm like, ooh, yeah, I want that. Speaking of very picky, Splatoon 3 Expansion Pass DLC.
There's so much expansion passes for Splatoon. I feel like every direct there's another like addition to the game.
And this is what I got from this is a paid hub. You have to pay for this, and it's like a hub for like their multiplayer.
I feel like I'm a failed Nintendo fan. I've never actually played a Splatoon game. The amount of effort that they put into it looks awesome. Like, and even the music too is just like, I don't know. It seems like it's a really creative game, but I just have not had the time to play it.
The first one, when it came out, I loved it. And I loved the multiplayer and going through and annihilating everybody else's. It's like the Tony Hawk mode, where you have to paint like places of the map by doing tricks. You remember that?
Which Tony Hawk was that?
Oh God, Tony Hawk 2 maybe. I don't know.
There was a Shaun White skateboarding game that was like the whole gist of the games. You had to like paint the city. I can't remember which Tony Hawk that was though.
Yeah, it might have been Tony
Underground
Hawk. It's either 2
maybe?
or 3. No, it was an early one, but like you had to do a trick, and then when you did a trick, you like controlled that part of the map, and somebody had to do a trick with a higher point score to take it over. That's actually more complex than Splatoon. Splatoon is you get a gun, you spray the ground color, and then somebody else can spray over it, and it's just like territory based.
So kickflips won't change the color of the floor?
No, unfortunately.
Damn.
But it's pretty cool. Splatoon 2 was the exact same as Splatoon 1, which is a big trend now in video games to just copy paste. So I wasn't really excited. And Splatoon 3 looks like the same, but now they have like a 20-hour campaign.
That's pretty cool. Maybe I'd actually play it then.
So, yeah, but paid multiplayer hubs though as well. So, yay.
Yay.
Now, I am going to go to a game that I was actually excited about, but disappointed after my excitement, was Disney Illusion Island.
It kind of looked like Disney Rayman.
So, yes. And it's based off the Disney animation, the Mickey Mouse one that I really like. They kind of gear it towards adults, which is pretty cool. But seeing the gameplay, it looked very slow, very sluggish. And it instantly made me not want to play it. And I love all things Disney, like all things Mickey Mouse.
I kind of felt the same way. It seemed like an interesting idea. It kind of reminded me of like the Rayman game for I think it was like Wii U, and also like it came out on like everything. Whereas like you're constantly running and you just kind of tap to jump and do a couple other things, and that game's a lot of fun. But it seemed like kind of like a more boring version of Rayman.
I agree. Yeah, yeah, very slow. Like Rayman's really fun,
Mm-hmm.
but this, man, and I'll probably spend the $20 on it to be honest, and then hate myself immediately after. But it is what it is. Next up, we got another DLC pack at the Direct. So this is why I asked this, because so far there's been 3 of them: Fire Emblem Engage expansion pass.
Yeah, so my girlfriend's currently playing that game, and even her reaction was just kind of like lukewarm to it. It was just like, oh, okay, more DLC, cool, more rings.
Yeah, yeah, and the same, right? Okay, we know these games are gonna get DLC. Uh, sure.
Sure, yeah, that's a good way to
Yeah.
sum it up. It didn't seem like it was a huge expansion pass, just like a couple extra like characters that are introduced into the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I do want to get around to playing Engage. So far, my girlfriend's reactions are not the best. I think she was more of a Three Houses fan because of the more like social sim aspects to it. I still want to
Three
play it.
Houses is cool.
Yeah, I still want to play it, but after a couple other games, that I'm currently playing, I might get into it.
I don't know why it bothered me, but when they announced the DLC, they're like, they showed it was like their main draw was a defensive character, and I was just mad.
Are you not a fan of defense?
No, no,
Why?
no. I just want to attack. Like,
That makes a lot of
let me
sense
get someone
because
super
of
powerful.
how you played 2K. For those of you who don't know, Sean is a terrible defensive player in NBA 2K. Also can't shoot, so I don't really know what he's useful for, but it's all
I'm
good.
just there for morale, which I actually bring down more than I
I was
raise
gonna
up.
say,
so-
what? hold on.
I don't know what my objective is while playing 2K. It's nothing good. We'll put it at that. Harmony,
Neat art, so.
yeah, looked cool. Looked like paper cutouts and stuff.
Am I gonna play it? Probably not, but it looked neat.
No. Again, this might be something I watched somebody play. Just because the art looked really cool. But it's like one of those reminds me of those like dating sims,
Yeah.
So sorry, y'all. I don't have much to say on Harmony.
Probably a skip for me, but
Yeah.
interesting.
Octopath Traveler 2. We knew that was coming out.
Mm-hmm. Did you play the first one?
Yeah, it's really fun.
I love
and
these like
challenging.
HD 2D remakes. They're so cool. I really liked Live Alive, so I'm interested in this one, and also these Dragon Quest I think it's 1 through 3 remakes. They're kind of doing the same
Yeah.
thing with this like HD 2D. I think they're calling it.
Yeah.
Looks awesome. It looks really good on the OLED. I don't have the OLED, but I was watching a video of it. Like, man, that thing pops.
Octopath, I highly recommend. It brings me back to the glory days when I grew up playing, JRPGs,
Mhm.
Suikoden, and stuff like that. The sprite style is just awesome. And the first one is really good. It can be very challenging, but I would say if you're going to play through an RPG, Octopath Traveler is a fantastic one to get your hands on. So
Sold.
Yep. We love Katamari.
Yeah, it looks like another Katamari game. I haven't actually played one yet. I bought one of the Katamaris at a flea market kind of recently. It's in the backlog.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to get this new one because I already have one of the Katamaris, but shoot.
It's kind of the same concept.
Right, yeah. The
Yeah.
soundtrack's awesome, though.
Yeah, you played one. You've played them all for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, so that'll be a skip for me as well.
Skip.
One that I am gonna get, but we already knew. I shouldn't assume that was already announced prior to the direct. I should say. Sea of Stars.
Yeah, I wrote this is a Sean game on here.
It absolutely is, and I'm super super excited again with the sprite style. I think they're also going to be releasing this on Xbox at some point in time,
Mhm.
and this was kickstarted.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Looks really cool. I'm super into it. Sea of Stars, kind of action RPG. I'm here for it. I just played through. Oh God, what was that game that just came out that I just played through?
It reminded me of a game that you recently played through. I'm completely blanking on the name.
And I just did the review for this at some point in time. Chained Echoes.
There we go.
Yeah, Chained Echoes. It kind of reminds me of a visually improved chain echoes, which is completely fine.
Yeah, no, I think I might have to pick this one up if it comes out physically.
Yeah, agree. And here we go. Omega Strikers.
Mid Strikers is what I wrote.
Mid Strikers. Yeah, not too thrilled on this. It's kind of cool, like air hockey or whatever it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it was like free to play. Also, I was just like, why is this in the
Yeah.
direct? I don't know.
Yeah. Not gonna spend too much time on that.
Mm-mm.
Don't really care. It goes along with this next one here. I don't know how to say it. Etrian Odyssey.
Yeah, I tried playing one of them on 3DS. The whole like dungeon crawler aspect is neat, but it's way too slow for me personally.
Yeah, and these like I grew up playing like Phantasy Star on Sega, right? And dungeon crawlers were kind of cool, but this one just didn't do it. And they announced like one of their like selling points was 20 new character artworks.
But the sprites don't even move.
Yeah, nothing moves. It's over 3 games that you would have 20 artwork. I'm like, nah. It was kind of boring to me. Again, I've never heard of this before, and I'm not really into the dungeon crawlers, so
I think it's got a pretty like cult following behind it. I think there are some pretty big Etrian fans out there, but yeah, the whole dungeon crawler aspect just seems way too slow for me. And that comes kind of toward like our attention span issues. I'm sure if I had a better attention span, I'd be all in, but I don't know. Not for me.
And if they were animated, maybe that might entice me a little bit more. But just
Shake
have
or something, Jesus.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm not too good with that. Another one we knew about: Advance Wars 1 and 2, the reboot camp. Love Advance Wars. Happy to see more of it.
I don't like the new art style though. I think it looks really like cheesy. I don't know. I prefer like the Game Boy pixel art. I just think this like revamped visuals look really they're like too clean. It's like bare. I don't know. Have you really looked at the revamped graphics too much yet?
Yeah. I know what you mean, and I don't dislike it, but I there is something nostalgic about when you look at the original Advance Wars. It's pretty cool, right? Playing that on the Game Boy Advance was like one of my highlights of like gaming. I loved that game.
Yeah, the game was awesome.
And I'm not a big like tactics kind of like fan, but Advance Wars like really helped me with that. But I'm gonna say I'm excited. Maybe it's because of the game itself.
I think so too. Yeah, I'm interested just because of I loved Advance Wars growing up on the GBA, but this new art style just doesn't really do it for me. But maybe I'll go back and replay the original Advance Wars. I just found my Game Boy SP charger yesterday in my closet. Very happy.
Hell yeah. Nice. I'm jealous. I have a DS, but my hands can't fit it.
Have you held a Game Boy SP recently? Like, when was the last time you held one of those? That thing is tiny. Like, my hands, I don't even have, like, huge hands. Like, they're already cramping up just playing. I was playing some Dragon Ball Advance yesterday, too. My hands were just cramping up on this tiny little machine.
That's when I wanted to go back and grab the Advance again, but I don't want to struggle.
I wouldn't get the GBA, like the original one. Because some people get, like, backlight screen, like, mods for it, and that looks really good. And I think the original, like, not the SP, like the original Advance layout is way more comfortable to use. But the SP is just like super cramped. I don't know.
I had a wrestling game on it, WWF, or maybe they changed it to WWE at that time, and it was awful. It was awful, but I spent so many hours because I had that Golden Sun and Advance Wars, and I just played it for hours, and I kind of want to go back and do that.
There's a lot of games like that though, where it's like it's a bad game, but it's like the only game that you had, but you're kind of forced to play through it. I think of like NFL Blitz for GBA. Like that game was terrible.
Oh yeah.
But I played like way too much of it because that was the only football game that we had. It was there. I'm like, I might as well play it.
Yeah, I get that. You got to work with what you got.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we make the most out of it though. So I played an RPG called Beyond the Beyond on PlayStation. Won't get too into it, but it was not good. It was terrible. Traded it for Suikoden.
It's a good
Best
trade.
thing I've ever done. Yeah.
That's a good trade.
Next up, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Did not know there was another Kirby game coming out.
That's kind of how I felt. Like, I love Kirby. I think Kirby's a lot of fun. But I think you can skip a bunch of the Kirby games, just play a few of them, and kind of get the gist of Kirby.
Yeah. And this one looks cool. Again, it's, back to the side-scrolling Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
But I've played so much Kirby.
I don't think I need to play more. Yeah.
If they announced a side-scrolling Mario, I'd probably be like, nah.
Right.
Like, I've played that. I've played that game. Like, what's new in here? And the one after you clear the game, whatever that was, that they were showing, they're like, you have no powers. All you can do is jump. And I was like, wow, you're not selling that.
Right.
So, yeah, it's Kirby. What do you expect? Then they announced the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance for Nintendo Switch Online.
Probably the most exciting thing for me personally. I love the GBA, mainly for nostalgia reasons, I think. But I guess starting with Game Boy, Wario Land 3 is one I'm going to have to play. Wario Land 4 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Never had the chance to play 3, but I really can't wait to give that one a shot.
Yeah, and you know what I think's cool too is it was the Game Boy Color that they added.
Yeah, you can switch between the black and white, that green that burns your eyes, or the color.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool. I did get to test out some of the Game Boy things on the Switch, and it was awesome. And again, these are cool to have on here, but it's as long as they keep the catalog updated, I think it's fine.
That was
right
one thing
now, I
that
think
did.
There's like 5 games.
Yeah, that was the only thing that kind of sucked. Was there's only like 5 games on there right now. I would like to see a lot more because a lot of these games are really short, and I like to just jump around and kind of mess with some of the the different, like for the Super Nintendo, for Switch Online. Like I like just jumping around from game to game. I can't really do that on the GBA because there's like 5 games on here, but it's still awesome to have.
And pretty cool too. Like the one thing I do like about the Switch Online is the save states.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have that back then. When you were playing these outside of emulation later on, but when you're actually playing like Donkey Kong, you couldn't just save your game and then leave. You would have to keep your Super Nintendo on for hours and then hope to God that your mom didn't come by and turn it off when she was cleaning.
Right. The rewind feature is really cool too. I don't know if you've messed with
Yeah.
that. I'm ashamed to admit that I had to beat Donkey Kong Country 2 with the rewind feature for a couple levels because I just made some like stupid mistakes. But it's awesome to have that feature if you just want to play through an old game and not hate yourself for sucking at platformers.
Yeah, I agree. I showed my son the rewind feature, and I was like, "Whoops, made a mistake. Check this out."
Right.
And like, I felt weirdly guilty doing it, but I was like, you know what? It's in here. I don't have the time to play this level 14 times. So.
Right. Yeah, I want to see the whole game.
Yeah.
Alone in the Dark, by the way. Did you play that?
Oh yeah. No, not yet.
That looks so cool.
Yeah, it looked really cool. I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either. I was like,
out.
when did this come out? Like, how did they even make this? Like, how did this even come to be? Because like, it seems pretty. I don't know. Like, I don't know how the Game Boy could actually even like process all the stuff going on in that game.
It's weird to say, but it seems awesome, which is like hard to say for Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that game looks awesome.
I don't want to get my hopes up too much because I know it's going to be super old if I go back and play it, and it's going to be like, wow, this is really dated, but still pretty cool.
Because I played the PlayStation version, like way back in the day, and it was pretty good. It was like around that time when Resident Evil was out, and like everybody was trying to scare you. So let's hope the Game Boy version can do the same, I guess.
Yeah. Any GBA games you're going to replay?
Golden Sun?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's always Golden Sun. I will forever play that game. It's fantastic.
I already replayed and beat WarioWare Inc.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, that game is that's like one of my favorite games of all time as well. I really recommend like having your son play it because that is an awesome game.
I'll have to try that. That's really cool.
And it doesn't take long to beat either. It took me like, I don't know, like 2.5 hours to beat, if that. So it's just a quick playthrough, and it's just hilarious. And the mini games are just so good.
I just hope, going back to what you mentioned, that they have more, because like you said, there's a big problem with me especially where I need a bunch of games.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's just like 3, like most of the time I'm kind of sad about it. I'm bummed about it. I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll wait, and then I won't touch it for months and months and months. I don't know why I do that, but if I have like 20 games in front of me, then I'm happy, right? Because I could play one until I'm like a little bit tired of that, like you mentioned with the Super Nintendo, and then switch it up. But
On the flip side, it is kind of to an extent it's kind of nice to have a smaller library because like I would probably never play that spinny stick game. It starts with a K, but I'm interested in playing it because I'm like, well, there's only other like 3 other games on here. I've already played Mario Kart Advance like 1,000 times. I've already played Superstar Sega. I don't need to play that again. But I'll play
so
the
you're forced.
Yeah, it's like I might as well just play the spinny stick game. It looks really fun.
Working with what we got. We mentioned it earlier. Perfect. Then we went this. I had no idea that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I literally shouted out loud. Metroid Prime Remastered.
Hell yeah.
I loved Metroid Prime on the GameCube. It's the only Metroid game that I can say that I liked a lot and loved.
I've never actually finished the game. I played it because my brother used to play it, but never actually like fully played through it. So this will give me a chance to give it a shot. And it's already out digitally too, which is nice.
Yeah, and I think it's only like $30, maybe $40.
Yeah,
but
that's much better.
regardless, it's well worth it. Absolutely.
Apparently
And it's
they fixed some of the controls too.
Yes.
Because I was thinking about it. I could be remembering this wrong. I believe you had to use the C stick to aim, possibly, and that C stick is terrible for any shooter.
It was like a one stick.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
And it was rough. Like you had to hold one of the buttons down to like aim.
Mm-hmm.
And like move the stick. It was really weird. But now modern controllers, thank the Lord for that.
Well, here's the thing. I love the GameCube controller. It's like my favorite controller. But for shooters, it's god awful.
Yeah, for Smash it's great, but for a shooter, no thanks.
Speaking of
There's
Smash,
no way.
when's it happening?
So Metroid Prime was cool. No, we'll play Smash one day. And by play, I mean I will run away and inevitably fall to my death. What do you want to do? Lives?
That's the only way to do
time.
it. Oh, time? Come on. No one does time.
I don't know how anybody does it anymore. I just want to know how I can escape and not have this, put out there to the public. But
who's your main?
Yoshi.
Yoshi's good.
I love Yoshi. So when at first I picked him, it was an aesthetic choice.
Oh, pink Yoshi all the way.
Yeah, I love everything Yoshi. So and he's got all the coolest colors.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just became okay with it. It's Yoshi or Lil Mac. So
Little Mac's awesome, but he's probably the worst character in the game because of his recovery. But
well,
maybe we'll do a Smash podcast one day.
We should do everything Smash. That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I think was that it? No,
there's a couple more. There's Master Detective, which my notes for another detective game. I'm confused.
Yeah, and this one didn't interest me as much.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. I remember this now. The frames looked very slow. Like it just looked. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
you're a detective.
I'd rather play the cat detective game.
Yeah, I want to turn into a cat. The spirit thing of this aspect, I don't know. It just didn't look interesting. It looked gloomy. It looked like it was trying to be like a gloomy persona. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not up to my standards of a game, I guess. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I do remember this too. How do you say this? Batten Kaitos? Batten
Kaitos, I think.
Yeah.
That seemed really neat.
It looked kind of cool. It kind of reminded me of Chrono Trigger. Or no, I'm sorry, Chrono Cross.
Mm.
So, it looked okay. But a card game, I'm terrible with those. I feel pressured with card games that if I use the wrong card, I'm going to lose. And that does happen.
There's no rewind feature here.
Right, yeah. So I'm screwed.
The thing that's interesting about that game, though, is like what inspired them to bring this game back? Because this is a really obscure GameCube game. It's just like, who was asking for this? I think it's awesome, but I wonder what sparked the need to recreate this. I'm all for it, but it's also just strange.
Well, everybody's trying to revive games, but I always find it's ones that people aren't asking for.
Right. Don't revive your games.
Don't revive your games. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, again, I probably won't play it. It looks cool. It might be a watch somebody play it on a stream or YouTube or something like that, but not for me. Not for me. Now, I am going to say this next one actually kind of interested me a little bit. Mm-hmm. Fantasy Life. The Girl Who Steals Time.
That I heard the 3DS one was awesome. Huge time sink though.
Never played it. Yeah, it definitely looks like it's gonna be, but it's like an Animal Crossing Stardew RPG type deal.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked cool, like a little cutesy art style and stuff like that. But it's more my speed in terms of like Animal Crossing because I can't really do Animal Crossing that much.
Yeah, that's nice to have a little bit of combat in there to break it up a little bit.
Yeah, I just want to fight some things. Now, if I could fight the villagers that come to my island on Animal Crossing, I think I would like it a lot more. Like set up a boxing ring. If you got a boxing ring on your island and you can challenge any of the villagers, I think that would be cool.
I think you're the first person to say that you want to punch your villagers.
You think so? I've watched people like trap their villagers in holes.
Yeah, I guess that's worse.
I'm not trying to kill them and starve them. I just want to punch them in the face a few times.
That's probably a little bit worse, isn't
it? Yeah. Professor Layton is back.
Yeah. You know what my notes were on this?
Huh?
I said, let's go, but I've never actually played a Professor Layton game. I'm so glad it's here, but I've never actually played one. It looks so cool.
It's the same thing for me. I was excited about it, and I've never played it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, cool, Professor Layton's back. I was like,
why am I getting exciting? I don't know. The guy's name is Luke, too, I think.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Great name.
And that's level 5 as well, right?
That's level 6.
So. Level 6. Perfect. New World of Steam. Yeah, Professor Layton. That's going to be cool. Whatever Professor Layton is, it looks cool.
Yeah. Maybe they can bring him in Smash.
Oh, that would be super cool. I don't know anything about him, so I don't know what his like ultimate or his Smash would be at all.
I think it's like steam, right? He just shoots steam out of his hat.
Yeah, he just holds his hat down and it's just a big ass smoke, like smoke bomb. I'm cool with that. We got more DLC for Mario Kart 8.
I'm happy about that. I love Mario Kart. I'm gonna play it. But that's one of those where it's like it probably doesn't need to be in the direct, but I guess it's cool to have. Birdo's in it, which is awesome.
But Birdo, yeah.
Did you ever play Super Mario Advance? Is it 2? I think it's the one that it was NES when Birdo was one of the bosses.
Yeah.
That was weird. I don't know why she never
Super
really
Mario
made a comeback as far as like being a boss.
It's because it wasn't really a Mario game at first.
This is as far as you go.
Yeah.
Remember that?
What the heck was it?
That was Birdo, yeah.
Yeah. No, I just meant like Birdo in general. Like, I don't think she was an original Mario character. I think that's why she wasn't like brought on in future renditions. What was it? Was it Doki Doki Panic? Mario 2 was originally, and then they're like, no, we got to sell this game, so let's slap some Mario skins on it.
Possibly. Great Mario game, by the way. Probably my favorite.
It's awesome. Yeah, I actually really enjoy it. And I like the fact that Luigi can jump way higher, because I'm more of a Luigi fan than Mario, so he's green.
That actually, it's on I played the Game Boy Advance version growing up, and really like that version of it. It's really good.
Yeah, the All-Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really, really
also, those little potion door things where you went into another dimension to grab the mushroom, that was weird.
Yeah, or the keys. And then you had that like mask that chased you around.
That game was creepy.
Yeah, it's actually kind of terrifying. Now, I know Super Mario 3 had the sun after that game, but that mask was kind of weird. If it was nighttime and then that fucking thing comes after you.
We should do the scariest.
That's why we all have anxiety.
Yeah, we should do the creepiest things in video games.
We should. That's a good one.
I think I know yours.
What?
Shot clock. 2 seconds left in the game.
So this has been the podcast.
I've been fired.
See ya. Yeah. So again, DLC. Whatever. It's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Then they showed off like 3 seconds of a few games like Minecraft Legends.
Yeah.
Mega Man.
Battle Network
Collection.
Yeah, I actually found that in my box of GBA games yesterday, and one of those games I've played through a little bit but didn't finish, but it is a really unique RPG. I don't know if you had the chance to play it.
Yeah. Back in the day when that came out, I thought it was really cool, really interesting, and I enjoyed it. I played it on a demo disc. Is how I played it. That's how old I am. I played it on a demo disc and then liked it. So, Blanc looked kind of cool. In terms of art style,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't pay for it, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, same.
There is a game that I picked up immediately after this, WBSC Baseball Power Pros. That is a damn mouthful.
Yeah, next time
But
you send me a message saying, "Hey, you should pick up this game," tell me what console you're buying it for. Because I freaking bought it on the Switch because it just came out on the Direct. I'm like, oh hell yeah, let's play it. And then I see a Snapchat story and I see a big square button. I'm like, what the fuck?
yeah, got it on the PlayStation, and I'll tell you, got my ass kicked. That I did one match initially, and I had no idea what I was doing here, and lost 11-0,
Ooh,
and wanted to immediately delete it,
fair enough.
but I played another game after and got a little bit better. So
Baseball games, just really quickly, let me just touch on this. Baseball Stars 2 for Neo Geo. I would love to do a stream of that once I get my capture card. It's a
would
really
be
fun game.
yeah, that would be really cool. Actually, I agree. I agree.
Can we get Mario Sluggers too? I want Mario Baseball to come back.
One day, with Mario Strikers coming back, I feel like it was gonna like revive because they did Mario Golf and then Mario
Revive,
Strikers.
yeah.
I feel like they were gonna revive, like the Mario sports franchises.
Yeah,
You know,
Mario
because they had
Hoops,
Mario Tennis.
3-on-3.
Yeah, yeah, they need something like that, and not the Olympic ones. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but I think Sluggers would be really cool. Like baseball games are fun. I don't really like baseball that much, but I love baseball video games. Even like MLB
Same.
The Show is an amazing game.
Yeah, coming out on Game Pass for free.
Hell yeah! Oh, did you see the? I know this is not gaming related, but they have some rule changes for the MLB, and that's one of them is a shorter pitch clock. So for our short attention span fans out there,
Oh, thank goodness.
maybe that'll speed up the game a little bit.
Yeah,
that got me
don't
thinking.
spend an hour and a half on the mound.
Right, that got me thinking. If you could implement any change into baseball, what would it be?
Allow steroids.
That would be cool. What about power ups like Mario?
That's what the steroid is. When Barry Bonds and them are cranking out home runs every game, like it made it way more exciting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So let them do it. Let them juice it up. Weighted bats, sure.
Maybe someone could make the ball disappear, like Boo or something, and then it just pops up. And I'm like, oh shit.
Invisible balls.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. No, I don't know about an actual rule change. Anything to speed the game up, seriously. Like,
Yeah.
and then if you go to a baseball game, and then it rains, you're camping out. You're there all night. You know, so you might as well sleep in the parking lot because it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, that's why we stay inside and play video games all day.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about that.
Let's see. Moving along here. Again, bunch of 10 seconds. Have a Nice Death.
Yeah.
Disney Dreamlight Valley. We got to see, Simba, Mufasa, and them. That world. And then they hit us with Legend of Zelda.
Breath of the Wild 2.
Breath of the Wild 2. And I did not watch that part. I turned it off. Not because I was mad, but because I don't like to spoil it for me. Legend of Zelda is one of my favorite series of all time. And before Breath of the Wild came out, I didn't watch anything on it. And didn't even experience the game until recently.
Yeah,
So
I think,
I'm probably going to do the same with this.
I think that's a good choice not to kind of get spoiled. Because I
Yeah.
think there were some kind of interesting like story elements in there. But they also didn't really show that much at the same time too, which I'm completely
Right.
fine with. Like I'm sold on it. I'm getting it day one. I don't really need to see anything else about it.
Right.
Just give it to me.
Agreed. So that was the direct. Overall, good, bad?
And I think there were some really cool releases, like the Game Boy games coming out, Prime, Breath
Yeah.
of the Wild 2, that detective game. I think were some of the highlights for me. And that's kind of how I usually feel about most directs. There's only like a handful of games that I'm really interested in. But if it was a direct only aimed at me, other people would be complaining about it. So I kind of have to keep that in perspective. Like, hey, as long as I get a couple of games out of it that I like, that's cool. That's cool for me.
I agree. And a lot of the times I'm sitting there going, this is a waste of my time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never play any of these. But there's somebody out there who freaked out over, Fashion Dreamer.
Or the
You know,
spinning
there's
stick game.
Yeah, there's probably maybe 2 people who were excited about Tron, so at least it got somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, not for me, but Metroid Prime Remastered was pretty cool, and Deca Police looked pretty cool. Other than that, we'll see. we'll see the next one in a few months and how that goes.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to more Game Boy games coming out. I want to play Golden Sun.
Same. Once I will actually pay for the expansion pass once Golden Sun comes out.
Hell yeah. No, I think that'd be worth it.
I don't have it now. So I think that's it. That's what we're going to be doing here, folks. We're going to be talking about anything, like I said, gaming, geek, nerd related. This week happened to be the Nintendo Direct. So we chatted about that a little bit. You know, if there's any big news in the gaming world, geek world, we're going to be talking about it. You know, as long as it's interesting to us, we'll try to make it interesting for you. I hope you enjoyed our opinions on this. A lot of it was, as Luke says, mid.
Yeah.
But that's why they're here. That's why we want to talk about these. So to let you know if we feel they're good or not. And this Direct was mid.
I disagree. So, I think it was cool, but
I think it was very mid. I think it was very mid. 30 out of the 44 minutes could have been cut, and then I think it would have been what's above mid.
Well mid.
Well mid. I think it would have been well mid if it was 14 minutes long instead of 44, and ruined my entire life. So we definitely appreciate you guys. If you're listening to this, Don't Revive Your Friends podcast. If there's anything you want to hear us talk about, let us know. We'll have our contact information, the email that you can send questions to, down below. So appreciate the love. Appreciate your faces. Anything you want to say before you head out here, Luke?
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see ya.
See ya.